Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in for Wow Me Wednesday. If you have a job interview coming up, then this video is for you. Tonight I'm going to share with you 5 tips on how to prepare for a job interview and how to impress your future employer. Hopefully, fingers crossed, right? So the first tip, similar to preparing for a presentation or an on-camera interview or presentation, is what's in it for the audience? Why should the employer, the people who are interviewing, care about what you're talking about? What's going to benefit them, right? So be sure to do your research on the company. I think that's pretty much a no-brainer, but go into a little bit more depth than just scanning the homepage of their website. Nowadays, most companies have social media pages, so look through their Facebook pages, Instagram. Those images that are posted on Facebook and Instagram or Twitter might give you a glimpse into the culture of the company. I currently manage the social media accounts for the nonprofit I work for, and we post a ton of pictures of things going on in the office, fun activities and events that we don't necessarily have on the website, but it demonstrates to you what it's like to work there and can give you examples of what to address in your interview and what questions to ask for. Also, if you happen to know someone who works for the company, even if they're not in the same department that you're interviewing for, reach out to them to find out more about the company and its values, its culture. And so you'll get a better understanding and a deeper understanding straight from someone who's in the trenches. So as you research the company, definitely know its mission, its values, their strong suits. Look up, don't just Google the website or look up the website, but look up some news articles. Maybe they've been in the news so you can see if there's been any controversy about that company. So know the company inside and out so you're better prepared in order to answer the questions that show benefit to the people interviewing you. Tip number 2 is to prepare for common questions. So what are those common questions? You might have gotten, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Some of those scenario questions about situations that you've been in. Tell me about a time when you've shown initiative at work. Tell me about a time when you have overcome a challenge or have had to deal with a difficult customer or client or even a coworker. So if you know these are common questions, have them prepared. Have examples in your head ready to go from your previous job. So when the time comes, you're not caught off guard. You're ready to go. It's been practiced and you can answer it in a very civil way without throwing anyone under the bus. And it's well rehearsed and thought out. Which leads to tip number 3 is show, don't tell. Give examples and tell stories to answer these questions. Don't just tell them about what your qualities are. So for instance, if you got asked, what are your strengths? What do you consider your strengths? You could say, I'm hardworking, I take initiative, and I'm a great team player. You leave it at that? How are they going to know that you actually are all those things, right? So give examples. You are a hard worker, you stay late at work, or you work weekends to make sure that the job is done. You're a team player, and tell about a story about a time when your team really came together to reach your goal. And use the word we a lot versus I to demonstrate how much of a team player you are. And then you can emphasize your role amongst that team during that challenge. So talk about those examples and give stories. Also, it's important to share numbers and data to prove that you, in fact, are a qualified candidate and you are the candidate they're looking for. So, for instance, since I'm in marketing, I could share numbers about how our social media following has increased by 100% since I started. Give those numbers, maybe in a year's time. If you're in sales, give those numbers about how much you've helped increase profits in a year or over 5 years. So that those numbers, that data will go a long way to explain to your interviewers that you're not just making things up, but there's proven data that shows your worth. Tip number 4 when it comes to preparing for a job interview is be ready for oftentimes the final question, which is, what questions do you have for us? Oftentimes you might say, oh, I don't have anything for you, thank you. But no, avoid that. Have questions prepared. Be ready for that question. You could ask questions about the company culture. You could ask about if I did get the job, what are my day-to-day responsibilities like? You could ask your interviewers, what is the favorite part for them about working for this company? And try to stay away from the salary question. How much am I going to make? Or how often do we get raises during your interviews? Because that could show your interviewers that, yeah, you're really in it for the money, not for the company or for growth. I like to save that question for when I get the offer. Then I can ask the HR manager or my future supervisor one-on-one about the salary to negotiate. And the fifth and final tip for tonight about job interviewing is a no-brainer: practice. Be sure to practice your answers to those common questions that you think you're going to get. Team up with someone. I often practice with my sister, and we'll do a mock interview. You'll always have someone that you can practice with. Also, record yourself on camera answering some of these most common questions. So that's it for tonight, but next week I'm going to dive a little bit deeper on how to answer some of those questions appropriately and to impress your interviewers even further. Some of these questions are hard to answer, especially when it comes to pitching yourself, right? So we'll uncover some of those next week. And if you have some questions, interview questions that you often get, that you get stuck on, leave them in my comments below so that I can address those questions in particular. Thank you for watching, and if you want to reach out to me, you can also email me at jessica@jessicachangconsulting.com. Thanks everyone, have a great week.